we're back again live on the Chris Leslie show, and it is 10 o'clock back west, or where we are, which is the Western time zone, Pacific time zone, however you want to call it. And so that means it's, let's see, 3 plus 10 is 1 o'clock East Coast time, so it's oh God, it's already Wednesday, the 19th on the East Coast. Isn't that just swell? Oh, let me just update our broadcast information. Around the league. League. Right? Okay. Should we try the social stream for like the last 30 minutes of this thing? Oh, no. That's not what we want to do. We want a social stream, huh? Okay. Social stream. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Ooh, yes. Around the league. Wait. Hold on. I gotta type this again. Sorry. Please excuse my incompetence. Okay. Say it. Alright, that went out somewhere. Okay. Back to business. We're going to go ahead and take a quick look around the league. And when I say league, of course, I refer to Football Mania, which is the league we play in. So we'll go ahead and look at the league scoreboard and go from the beginning to the end. So the next matchup was a very marquee matchup. It featured a 5-1 team. I'm sorry, no it didn't. Please excuse me. That was a big error on my part. It featured a then 5-0 team versus a then 4-1 team. So I first place against a third place, I think. But the cock of the walk, as far as our league has been concerned this year, his name, Adam Shine, I don't even know what this name, Adam Shine Rich Gannon Special. He was 5-0 versus his younger brother, which I don't, oh yeah, his name was Dixie, like Dixie Cup, and then Erect. That was his name yesterday, but he's changed it since then to the Silver Bullets. But little brother got the better of this one by a score of 98-91, which means now both of those two teams are tied 5-1, and theoretically in a tie for first place, although not actually, and I'll explain that a little later when we take a look at the standings. But for right now, let's just look at this matchup. Adam Shine Rich Gannon Special, who previously undefeated going into this week and has just scored an obscene amount of points all year long. Not so obscene yesterday, 91 points, but certainly respectable. 91, he loses 91-98, so very close matchup. Let's start out with the quarterbacks. Oh boy. Special, oh yeah, Adam Shine Rich Gannon Special, I believe, yeah, that's the name. Matthew Stafford of the Detroit Lions going up against Cam Newton of the Carolina Panthers. And of course, this was the second time that Silver Bullets used Cam Newton. He used him to defeat me last week. And this week he had to use Cam Newton because Phillip Rivers, his other quarterback, had a bye. Matthew Stafford was good for 19 fantasy points, and Cam Newton was good for 14. So, advantage. Adam Shine, Rich Gannon special. Gosh, that's a ton. Okay, I'm going to say that once without slurring my words like I'm half crocked. Okay. Adam Shine. Jeez, I have a speech impediment. Okay, let's try this again. Adam Shine, Rich Gannon special. That's as good as I can do. Matthew Stafford, 19 points. So, advantage him. Matthew Stafford was 28 of 50. Wow. 293 yards. Nice numbers. So, quarterback advantage to Adam Shine, Rich Gannon special. Next matchup. This was the running backs matchup. Oh, and Cam Newton's numbers, sorry, before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Cam Newton, of course, lost to the ATL. 21 of 35, 237 yards. Decent fantasy numbers, but what we're accustomed to seeing Cam Newton do thus far this year, a little lower than you would say most people would expect. Okay, running backs matchup. Adam Shine, Rich Gannon special. First running back, Darren McFadden of the Raiders, going against the Cleveland Browns. 91 yards and a touchdown, 15 fantasy points. Very, very good. Anytime you get, I would say, 10 points or more from a running back in fantasy football, you're pretty happy with that. And 15 points, that's a very nice performance. But that's going against Fred Jackson. I don't know this guy's exact stats this year, but if he continues at the rate he's going, he will be the #1 running back in the league, Pro Bowl, MVP, every accolade his position makes him eligible for. And he is just phenomenal. I've only had the pleasure of seeing him play a few times, but he is just something else. Something special. He is amazing. Amazing athlete. 121 yards rushing and a touchdown for a total of 22 fantasy points. So, advantage. Silver Bullets. And that kind of hurts if you think about it. A 15-point running back performance and you lose that matchup. You're not really expecting that most of the time. 22 points from Fred Jackson is just unreal. Next matchup involving the running backs. For Adam Shine, Rich Gannon special. Matt Forte of the Bears, 11 points. 87 yards, no touchdowns. 11 points is respectable. Going against Arian Foster. 49 yards, no touchdowns. Was against the Ravens. Again, don't know and don't care how that game turned out. Other than I know Billy Cundiff did pretty well. But Arian Foster just 9 points. So, tight matchup. That matchup goes back to Adam Shine, Rich Gannon special. 11-9. Very close. So far, quarterback, Adam Shine, Rich Gannon special. First running back, Silver Bullets. Second running back, Adam Shine, Rich Gannon special. So it's 2-1. Next matchup. It's the running back, wide receiver slot, which in this case there were 2 wide receivers facing one another. So it makes it kind of easier to compare. For the Adam Shine, Rich Gannon special, Roddy White of the Atlanta Falcons. 2 points. Yeah, a very disappointing effort for Roddy White. Not what you're accustomed to seeing him do as far as fantasy numbers are concerned. He had 21 yards and no touchdowns. Everyone has a bad week, but if you're a fantasy owner and you had Roddy White in yesterday, you're not too happy. Next, Wes Welker. This guy's been murder all year from a fantasy perspective. Win, lose, doesn't matter. He just somehow gets tons and tons of points. It's scary. I had to face him last week and it was not fun. 10 points, which is like,
she's always there,
I would say 10 points for Wes Welker, based on what he's been getting this year, is almost the equivalent of 2 points. Not really, but 46 yards and a touchdown. So 10 points. Again, you're pretty happy with that. Not what he has been typically getting this year. So that matchup, solidly in favor of the Silver Bullets. 10-2. So you have an 8-point swing there. Next wide receiver matchup, Calvin Johnson. Beast. He is just a beast. He's an amazing wide receiver. I love watching him play just because he's fast, physical, and he's big. And he just rips the ball out of the air and scores. And he makes crazy, fantastic catches. Calvin Johnson, 113 yards. Looks like he didn't score any touchdowns. Maybe he did. But just 11 points. Now again, 11 points is nothing to put your nose up at. But for Calvin Johnson, that's not a real big output. Based, again, on what he's been doing earlier and thus far this year, fantasy-wise. Versus Greg Jennings. He's another big, high-output producer. Just 8 points for him against the St. Louis Rams. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but 8 points for Greg Jennings. So, advantage. Back the other way to Adam Shine, Rich Gannon special. 11-8. So, we're 5 spots through this matchup. And thus far it is 1, 2, 3-2 in favor of Adam Shine, Rich Gannon special. So far so good for him, right? Wrong. Next matchup. The last wide receiver matchup. Michael Crabtree of the San Francisco 49ers. 77 yards, no touchdowns, 7 points. When two high-powered teams that score a lot of points face each other, 7 points out of a wide receiver spot, not going to cut it. And it didn't cut it against Mike Wallace, who had 76 yards and a touchdown. And so 13 points for Mike Wallace of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, that's where there's such a fine line between fantasy numbers and such a just contrast Crabtree and Wallace. Each had 77 yards for Crabtree, so 1 yard better than Mike Wallace, but that touchdown, that all-important touchdown, makes all the difference in the world. 6-point advantage right there. And in a game this close, that's huge. Need I remind you, the final score was only a 7-point difference. So, that one touchdown, big. Of course, that one going to Silver Bullets. The next matchup, which is the tight end. Tight end matchup features Rob Gronkowski of the Patriots. He had 74 yards, 7 points. Not bad for a tight end, not spectacular, but when you're going against Jimmy Graham of the New Orleans Saints, better known as the Graham Reaper, that's not enough. Jimmy Graham against Tampa Bay had 124 yards, pretty solid day, and 12 points. So 12-7, advantage back over to Silver Bullets. Now, let's see here. Now we have defenses, okay? Adam Shine, Rich Gannon special, had the Detroit Lions defense, and they earned him 6 points, so not a bad defensive performance against the Texans defense, which has been pretty good this year. They came up short, only 2 points. So, advantage Adam Shine's Rich Gannon special. 6-2. Alright, so going into our very last matchup here. So far we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4-4. The matchups are even. 4-4. Okay? So, this last matchup numerically may not have decided things, but it did decide who won the number of matchups between the two, and that was the kickers. David Akers of San Francisco against John Casey of the New Orleans Saints. David Akers, 13 points to just 8 for John Casey. So, if you're paying attention here, that would actually give Adam Shine, Rich Gannon special, 5-4. He won 5 out of the 9 matchups. So he won 5 matchups versus Silver Bullets only winning 4. But the point differential didn't work out in his favor. So the final score was 91-98. And Adam Shine's Rich Gannon special suffers his very first loss of the year and goes to 5-1. And Silver Bullets, after losing their first game of the year, has won 5 straight. They're probably the hottest team in the league right now. So looking at the bench production of this matchup, okay. Yes, this is a very crucial error. Or not an error, but this is Adam Shine, Rich Gannon special could have changed the outcome of the game. He had 3 wide receivers and 2 running backs. Had he opted not to go with Roddy White and instead went with Fred Davis of the Redskins, that would have been 9 points. However, I don't think before the game anyone would have done that. Quarterback perspective, his quarterback had a better day than so that is a difference of 7 and 7 points. So could have tied the score. So he could have tied. So not much he could have really done, and who would have actually foreseen that turn of events? I don't think many. For the Silver Bullets, 2 big moves he could have made that would have given him a much more comfortable victory. One is Rashard Mendenhall. Had he opted for, let's say, 3 running backs and 2 wide receivers and, say, sat Greg Jennings, that was 20 points for Rashard Mendenhall. So that's a plus 12. So that's a big swing, although kind of similar to the move for his brother. Would you really have, before the game, said, I think I'm going to go with Rashard Mendenhall, who hasn't played it in a couple of weeks, he's been hurt, over Greg Jennings? I wouldn't have. But defensively, he has 2 Texas defenses. So as soon as he heard that I was dropping Dallas, what's he do? He picks them up. Smart move. They had 10 points yesterday on his bench, so he could have had another 8-point swing had he went with the Cowboys defense instead of the Texans defense, which, how foreseeable that is, again, really hard to say, because they're going against the New England Patriots, which have just really torched every defense they've faced. So I don't think really anyone has enough confidence in any defense this year, maybe outside of the Baltimore Ravens, to go with that defense against the New England Patriots up to this point. Okay, so That concludes the that matchup. Go ahead and continue our way around the league here to the. Let's see. Do you like my legs? Be honest versus Seattle Smoke. Do you like my legs? Be honest was 2-3 going into yesterday, facing another unbeaten Seattle Smoke, who was 5-0. Now, going with the quarterbacks. Do you like my legs? Be honest. Tony Romo of the Dallas Cowboys, 15 points, 27 of 41, 317 yards, TD. Pretty respectable fantasy day. Against Ryan Fitzpatrick, 21 of 30, 244 yards, 13 points. Dipping a little bit below respectable to average. So 15-13. Do you like my legs? Be honest. Takes that matchup. The first running back matchup, Darren Sproles of the Saints going against Tampa Bay. 16 yards, 5 points. Ouch. Versus Ray Rice of Baltimore going against Houston. 101 yards, 16 points. Advantage, Seattle Smoke. D'Angelo Williams of Carolina, 44 yards, 4 points. Eee. Ooh, push against the formidable Delone Carter, filling in for Joseph Adai and the Indianapolis Colts. 4 points, so there you go. Push. No backslap there. Next, you have a running back against a wide receiver in the running back / wide receiver category. Sean Green of the Jets. 74 yards, 7 points. Fair to Midland, maybe. And Pierre Garçon. I can't do that. Let me try that again. Pierre Garçon. Pierre Garçon. Pierre Garçon. Pierre Garçon. My aunt would be very disappointed. Just 3 points. Ouch. Okay, advantage. Do you like my legs? Honestly. Next, wide receiver matchups. Steve Smith of Carolina going against the ATL. 6 points, 66 yards. Not so good. Against Miles Austin going against the Pats. 74 yards, 7 points. Not so good. So, advantage, Seattle Smoke. Next, wide receiver matchup. Jordy Nelson of the Green Bay Packers going against the St. Louis Rams. Now I can see what happened to all of Jennings' fantasy points. Jordy Nelson had 104 yards and a touchdown for 16 points. Outstanding. Backslap. Mario Manningham of the New York Football Giants. No backslap. Not even a knee slap. 56 yards. 5 points. That's a advantage. Do you like my legs? Be honest. Then, getting into the tight end matchup. Kellen Winslow. Very disappointing fantasy-wise as far as I'm concerned. Against New Orleans. 4 points, 40 yards. Better than not having anyone there, I suppose. But even worse, Owen Daniels of Houston going against the Baltimore defense, just 1 point. So, advantage. Do you like my legs? Be honest. Now, the defenses. This is kind of a surprise. The Bears, a safety, only allowed 10 points. And a kick return for a touchdown, courtesy of Devin Hester. Yes, that's right. Anytime you have a punt return or a kickoff return, that is credited to your team's defense, if that player is on your team's defense, of course. 18 points for it. The Bears. Baltimore Ravens, 7 points. Not bad, but not good in this matchup. Just 7 points for the Ravens defense. Who would have thunk that the Bears outscored the Ravens by 11 points? I wouldn't have. Okay, going into the deciding matchup. How do we stack up so far? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, it's 5 for Do You Like My Legs, Be Honest, and a push. So the final matchup, kicker against kicker. Mason Crosby of Green Bay, 6 points. Not very good at all. But even worse, not to be outdone, Neil Rackers. This guy really just bugs me. 2 points against Baltimore. So, advantage. Do You Like My Legs, Be Honest. And he wins going away decisively by a score of 81-58. So he moves to 3-3, and Seattle Smoke drops to 5-1. So the other unbeaten is unbeaten no more. Which now we have a total of 3 teams that are 5-1 currently. And Do You Like My Legs, Be Honest, sitting in a very nice position at 3-3, I believe in the 5th spot. But we'll revisit that once we get into the standings. Where are we time-wise here? Okay. We will take a short break, and then we will go through the final 2 matchups in our league this week when we come back, and then we'll also get into kind of the standings, what's going to happen this week, all that other good stuff. Right after this, when we come back, this is the Fantasy Football Recap with Chris Leslie on the CALX Network. We'll be right back.